right, everybody, welcome. Welcome to the first episode of the Rant podcast, episode 1. Rach, it's official.
Oh my gosh. We're
How do you
doing
feel?
it. I'm excited. I'm excited to rant, to talk, to express and share.
Well, maybe we should introduce ourselves, right? Step 1 of having a podcast.
They don't know who we are at all.
No one knows who the heck we are. And they probably don't even care right now. So let's make this worthwhile and interesting for them.
Let's try. Yeah.
So my name is Leah. I am in Miami, Florida. And
my name's Rachel. I'm just going to go by Rachel for now. That's all you need to know. I'm in Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania currently.
Woo! Where it's a holiday every day.
Jealous?
A little bit. Is it a requirement to have to like sing Holiday by Madonna everywhere you go in Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania?
Yeah, it's always playing. It's our song. It's the city song.
It's like the theme song for your town. It's perfect. It's perfect. All right, so let's jump into business here. I think that we owe whoever is listening, if anyone is listening, we should kind of, let you guys know what you're up, what you're going to be up for while listening to the rant. So do you want to tell them a little bit about what we're going to be talking about and exploring through each episode?
Sure. We are New Yorkers at heart in a way. So we both moved to New York City to attend a musical theater conservatory. Relatable much. And that's where we met. That's where our paths crossed. So we're going to talk a little bit about that experience living in New York City and the challenges of the Big Apple and what wisdom we've learned from those experiences, and probably laugh and make fun of stuff and just be our goofy selves. And hopefully that's engaging and entertaining in some way.
Well, I mean, I think that being goofy and just having a good time is important, right? But aside from our adventures in the Big Apple, we'll also be taking the time to talk about, different things, movies, sports, important topics that are happening around the world, pop culture, different things. So we will be exploring the many, many adventures and topics that make you go, Maybe this is a good place to insert the song "Things That Make You Go."
That's copyrighted. We'll work through this. Yeah,
we'll work
the copyright laws and all that. Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of things. You see, there's a lot of things. Do you think our little old podcast will make it
demonetized? Not that we're eligible for that anyway. But
oh my gosh. Well, let's jump right into it. Let's talk a little bit about New York City and the American Musical and Dramatic Academy, AMDA. What that was for us as young gals leaving our homes, in Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania and Miami, Florida, and heading to the Big Apple to pursue our dreams of being musical theater stars on Broadway. I don't even know where to start.
How did you hear about AMDA?
Okay, so I graduated high school, and about 2 years after I graduated high school is when I went off to AMDA, and I heard about AMDA through my middle school drama teacher, Miss Rachel Steinhardt, who is an amazing human being and such a great drama teacher, especially during those very important years of being a teenager. And she was at that time working in the administrative office. So through her, she was the one that introduced me to the school, what it was all about, And she was like, Lisa, now is your chance. If this is what you want, go for it, you know, and I'm going to help you in every which way that I can. And to this day, I'm so grateful for her because, you know, I would have never made that scary jump. And, you know, and I did. So through Miss Steinhardt, I was able to audition, fill out my application, go through that entire process and head to New York 2 years after graduating high school. Yeah.
And you did mention you went by Lisa at that time.
Yes. So yeah. Oh yes. Thank you for making that clear. So let's explain that a little bit. And when you and I were kind of talking about this a minute ago, you know, what do artists do like when they have a stage name? You know, do they always go by the stage name? Do they use their regular name, their, you know, their birth certificate name at certain times? It's very confusing, very confusing. So it's kind of a new realm for me, but yes, my stage name is Leah. You can find my Instagram name, my Instagram page, I am Leah, and my music, it's all with the stage name Leah, but my birth certificate says Lisa Abreu. That's an inside joke, guys. We'll explain it later. But it will all make sense.
That's a great name.
Hey,
great name.
It's what I got. It's what I got.
Yeah. That reminded me of something I wanted to ask you. Oh, and it's spelled L-I-A.
L-I-A.
You know what? We can put all that in the description of the video too. If you're watching on YouTube. There's cool. probably room for information under the audio as well. So if we have space, if you're listening, we can include that in the write-up.
Absolutely.
We'll see how that works out.
So tell us about how you were introduced to AMDA and kind of how you made it up there. Oh, God.
Well, I was a bit overprotected and sheltered and didn't really know. I wasn't very seasoned as a performer. I did recitals and things like that. But I knew that I could sing and I knew that I could sort of dance a little bit, thought I was better than I was.
You were a good dancer.
And I knew I could act. And then, so I thought, naturally, you put those together and you get a Broadway superstar. So I thought, I've already made it. I'm just going to go there to get some networking in and, you know, show off a little bit. But I had a voice teacher who introduced me to AMDA because she had some students that went there, surprisingly. But she was from New York. Like, she had lived in New York for decades, I think, and still had a New York accent. It's hard to let that one go once you get that. And so she told me about it. She said, this is probably the best place to go. I mean, why would, you know, you don't have to waste your time doing math, learning biology. Although for me, I actually did go to college and got a 2-year degree first and then went to AMDA.
Okay.
So, but you know what? I walked in there like, you're welcome.
You walked in there, you know, turning heads. I remember you walking into my life like a lightning struck in the middle of New York City. Rachel Schaefer. I
really, really sat there. I mean, why else would you move to New York City unless you thought, of course, they're going to be like, where have you been hiding? Right? Like, I really thought
I feel
that.
like deep down inside, I feel like all of us, you know, had that. And I feel like for you to be brave enough to make the move to go compete with the thousands of starving artists that are so talented in New York City, part of you needs to believe that and be so confident about you having something in you that's going to help you make it. You're going to be a star, you know? And as scary as New York City is, you know, I remember just being on the plane, you know, leaving my Cuban family that just like you sheltered me so much, took care of me. That's a whole other episode. We'll talk about that later, guys. But, you know, I remember being on that plane and leaving my family for the first time and just looking out the window and looking at the Big Apple and just kind of like closing my eyes and internalizing everything and just being like, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. And, you know, I feel like we tell ourselves that, and it's not like at that time, you're like, oh, I'm going to make it in 2 years tops, Broadway, here I am. But, you know, life has its ups and downs, and it's planned for us. Right. So we've been gone from AMDA for a few years now. And, you know, we have classmates who are just getting to Broadway now, you know, who are just making their big grand debut, you know, this year. And who's to say ours isn't around the corner, huh, Rach?
True. That's right.
You never know.
I will never stop being an artist. I think that's when it's part of your identity. Everything you do has kind of an artistic flair and a creative edge, right?
Always.
And just your process for living is very unique as a creative artist. It's it informs everything you do. So
emotionally unstable.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing. I mean, you could call it that. Yeah. I mean, emotion driven by emotion, sure, you know.
Everything we do is driven by emotion. But I think that's what makes us unique. That's what makes us artists, right? That's the basis and the foundation of everything. So let's go back to that summer. 2000 what?
2005. 2005.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Jesus.
You lost track of time.
Yeah. I told you, I've had this conversation with you. Like, things are fading away slowly as I get older.
Well, yeah, you know, and we went in the summer, which is a little different because it shortens your time there too. So we were only there for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, just over a year and a half.
It was a little bit over a year and a half. And I'm trying to remember what that first day was like. Did we have an orientation? Like, I'm going to need to rely on you here because I can't really remember this too well. I do remember us checking into the Stratford Arms, which was our home during our time there in AMDA. And
my mom cried when we did that, by the way. My parents drove me.
Oh,
and
that's sweet.
My mother cried and was like, you can just come home, because she thought it was dirty and too small.
Want you to stay.
No, she tried to convince me to come home the entire time. I was like, no.
Which, by the way, how amazing was the area where we were dormed? Like between Columbus and Broadway, right?
Yeah, Columbus and
it's on 72nd between Columbus and Broadway, Upper West Side.
I'm not sure if Broadway was the cross street, but it was like 71st Street or 70th, West 70th.
Well, we were literally like a block away from the 72nd Street station. Yeah. On the Upper West Side. And oh my God, we could, and then you go the other way and you have the park.
Right.
It was so great. We were in the middle of the city.
And I wasn't experienced enough to really appreciate it. I did not get how great that location was at all.
You don't realize it till after. You don't realize it till after, because you know what? Like, there's so much that you're taking in. One, you're worried about the entire process of what school is going to be like. You know, you're going into this performing arts conservatory, and it's like all you think of is fame. I'm gonna live forever and jump off the subway and the taxis, and you know, everybody's walking around in their tap shoes and like their ballerina slippers, and it's like I'm terrified right now. You know, like it's just the pressure is too much. So you know, you're thinking about the pressure of school and doing good, and then you're also still thinking about having left home. Am I going to survive? You know, where's do I have money to eat? That's another thing.
Yeah.
You know, how am I going to make, you know, money? It was a lot. So, you know, we were taking in so much that we really didn't realize where we were. And and New York City in itself is such a wild animal. So exciting though. Some of the best years of my life for sure. Some of the best years. But what I was saying to you is, so I remember first day checking in at the Stratford Arms, and there were these kind of like, I guess they were like students already at the school, but they were on golf carts, was it? Like,
I don't remember that.
Do you remember that?
No.
Or maybe I'm making that
Wait,
up.
what? What,
to
help bring your suitcases in and stuff?
Yeah, like to receive you and like help you and kind of like, welcome to AMDA, yay! You know, like cheerleaders kind of. No?
I don't
Am I
remember
making
that.
that up?
You could be right. I don't really recall that very clearly.
Oh, it's all a blur. It was a long time ago. I didn't realize how long ago this was.
Yeah, a long time. I do remember having orientations where they told us that only like 2% or 1% of any of us was going to make it as a working actor. I think that was the first day, right?
What a great way to just get you excited about what
I think
you're
that was
about to
Dan
embark.
Daly who delivered that speech. And I think I remember he also said, now if you're not thinking in your head, I'm part of the 1%, you probably shouldn't be here. And I think most of us were thinking, you know,
obviously,
F those statistics. I'm
here
already
to break
a star.
those. I already got a call back earlier today.
You're well. You should be paying me to be here. What?
I have a call back. Elphaba on Broadway. Elphaba. Wicked. Heard of it? Oh.
And then we had dance placement auditions.
That's right.
He also, and Dan Daly also discouraged us from having a fallback. He said, if you have a fallback, I remember this clearly because I was trying to figure all this out. And I was just absorbing everything. I was like, okay, so don't have a fallback. Because he said, if you have a fallback, you're just going to go to do that. I remember he asked us, who here has a fallback career? And I remember some of our classmates raising their hands. And I was like, oh, shoot, I don't. And he was like, you might as well go do that then.
That's one thing about life. I never have. Like, I honestly can tell you that I've wanted to be a performer since I can remember. Like, there's nothing else that I've wanted to do or that I am as remotely good at or feel content in doing. Like, there's nothing. Like, I've never prepared for anything else. So I couldn't raise my hand when he asked that question. And I do remember that day. You know, you saying it now I do remember sitting in that little that main auditorium.
Yeah.
I remember that. Wow, it's such a long time ago, and it doesn't feel like it was so long ago.
No, and it's so interesting how when you look back, you know, time kind of slowed during that.
Time heals everything. Something.
You just supply the entire soundtrack.
I can't remember the lyrics, but that was one of the songs that was assigned to me during my time at AMDA.
Really?
Yes.
Was that second semester?
Bernadette Peters sang that song much better than I clearly just did, but
is that Sondheim?
And she remembered the lyrics. So, but yeah, time does heal everything. That's for sure.
Well, at least you forget.
I forget.
Well, it's funny how that stretch of time, even though it was a very short experience, like, you know, a year and a half is nothing. It's like a blink of an eye, particularly in New York.
Yeah.
But that time, I remember that as being like the longest time of my life in New York. Like, just like, because it was so intense.
There was so much going on.
And the days were packed that it felt like a long, long time. Time slowed.
Do you remember? So we were like between the Stratford Arms, which was our dorm room, and the actual building of the school. It was like 12 blocks, but you know that New York blocks are like eternally long. Do you know how many times I not walked, ran those blocks?
Because your alarm didn't go off?
because my alarm didn't go off, or something, or I forgot something, or who knows? So many things. Most of the time, it's probably because I was overslept, for sure. For sure. I was still in Miami time while I was living in New York City.
What's the difference? What do you mean?
Here in Miami, we're just like slow motion. Hey, what's going on? Let's get together today around 6:00. Start showing up around 7. Maybe it's just a Spanish culture thing, like everyone's just like taking their sweet time. So, but no, like but really think about it. Like going to school in New York City, like our schedules were so, like you mentioned, we're so busy that we were exhausted half the time, and trying to make it to like a 9:00 character dance or ballet class
or sight singing.
What a struggle.
I had never had coffee in my life until I moved to New York, and I had that 8 a.m. Like the highest level sight singing. My ear was not that good.
Yeah.
I just played piano, so I knew music theory. So that's how they placed us. They had us do the written thing for the sight singing. And then it was 8 a.m. I was like, I don't belong in this class, A, and B.
Oh my God!
I don't belong
8 o'clock
up at this time. So I started getting like the coffee at the cart, like at the
down the
and a bagel. I remember one time I was drinking it, and I had this thing where I wanted the sugar at the bottom, so I would add water and put the lid back on and drink it. And one time in class, I poured the water in and I tried to put the lid on, and it cracked, and the water went all over my leg and all over the floor, and it was one of the hardwood floors. Dance room.
Oh my God, one of the dance rooms. Oh,
that teacher, what was his name?
Oh, you're asking the wrong girl. I'm never gonna remember.
Denise was in that class. I don't know, were you in that class with me?
No, I was not in advanced sight singing. That was not me.
I was in so many advanced classes, and I did not feel like I fit there. Like, I don't know how I got in. Like, I faked it till I made it. I was trying to keep up, because also I was in the advanced tap because they asked us to do time steps, and I just happened to remember.
You're so advanced.
I wasn't, and plus my tap shoes were a half size too big. So I actually had
Wait a minute, can you explain that?
How the hell? When I bought my tap shoes, because we had to have heels, we couldn't do flats. I went to a dance store here to get that shoe, and they didn't have my size, so I just purchased, because I guess I waited too long. I waited till last minute, and I didn't have time to wait for it, so I just bought a half size bigger and put an insert in. But the problem with that was, like, it was like dangling on my foot, so I had to like shuffle a beat early so the shoe had time to catch up.
What? Struggles.
So it was really bad.
The struggles.
I should have never done that time step.
But I love how you were advanced enough to calculate that you had to do it like a half a step earlier. So
just hold out for the right size. That's all I gotta say.
Next time, moral of the story: get the right shoe size, ladies and gentlemen.
It makes a difference. It's all about the shoe. When it's dancing, you can't have the wrong size shoe. I don't know what I was thinking.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I did not know that story. I did not. But we learned something here, guys. Oh man. Well, we definitely had some good times in New York. And I mean, just in general, I think that what helped us survive our time there was the fact that we had each other, and, we were all going through it together. So, we made the best of it and just literally laughed our way through it all.
Oh my gosh. If you were around, we were definitely laughing. Stop. You made everything fun. I swear. Even when you were teasing, it like got me out of my anxiety, and
because everyone was just going through it. We had to, we just had to laugh. Like if we didn't make fun of the moment, like what, we wouldn't have survived. And at the end of the day, like I know that everything we were learning was, I know it was intense because it was preparing us for something bigger than us, but you need to find the goodness and the fun in it, because if you take it too seriously, then you miss all those little moments that make it worthwhile. At the end of the day, whether you go on Broadway or not, like at the end of the day, all you take with you are the memories. So
it's true.
Not
we made lifelong friends.
We did. It was a good time.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
And look, it even led us to this podcast. Hey. The Rant.
Blessings. And to blessings. They just keep on coming.
I love it. So I'm excited for the future episodes. I'm excited for all the people that are going to join us here in our rant. And how do you feel about the future for the podcast and what's up next, Rach?
I feel excited. I think we might as well record these conversations because we spend so much time on Zoom laughing anyway. Might as well share it.
Someone out there has to relate. Someone.
Share some laughs. If I know that this, maybe the exact details aren't that relatable, but I mean, you can relate to leaving home and, trying to make it out in the world, maybe a big city away from home. So I think that's pretty relatable.
Of course. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in the arts, right? It could be in anything. Maybe you went off to pursue your dream of becoming a doctor, a lawyer, anything. You just have to go out there and follow your heart and follow your dreams. But I do want to say this to the people who are listening and watching. If you have any suggestions or any topics that you really want to hear us talk about in upcoming episodes, please, message us, put it down. If you're watching it through YouTube, put it down in the message box below as comments. And yeah, I'm excited. We're going to talk. There's so much to talk about. This is only the first episode where, you get to kind of get a sense of who we are. And as we move on through this podcast journey with the Rant, you'll definitely learn more about us as individuals and about our take on life. So I'm excited.
Yeah. We're both pretty multifaceted, so.
Hey. All right, Rach, any final words on our first episode of the Rant podcast?
I just look forward to getting to know everybody and having a good time and sharing laughs and opinions. So
listen, this is the time to just disconnect, have a good time, and laugh and really just shoot the shit.
What else are we gonna do? Thanks for tuning in, but what else were you gonna do?
Yeah. Just come hang out with us,
It's like, thank you for your time. And there's so much of it right now that what else are we gonna do?
You're right.
Record our combos. Well, thanks for tuning in.
All of you out there, we love you. We haven't met you yet, but we already love you. And we'll see you in the next episode, episode 2.
Bye.
Bye.